World Water Day is marked globally on the 22nd of March annually. The day is used to advocate for the sustainable management of freshwater resources. To mark this day, the Department of Water and Sanitation and the Water Research Commission will be hosting a launch of the Citizen Science National and the SADC Water Resource Quality Monitoring Toolbox. Now, to tell us more about the event, we're joined from our Pretoria studios by the CEO of the Water Research Commission, that's Mr. Dhesigen Naidoo. Good afternoon, Mr. Naidoo, and thank you for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers.
A day like World Water Day, certainly a time for deep reflection on where we stand in terms of water security, no doubt.
Absolutely, and in your news items today, you were talking about Idai, and that's just emphasizing that we are in a completely different world. We've just come out of a drought, a huge drought in southern Africa, and we're now dealing with intense tropical storms and flooding. And this is now the new normal for us. And what it means is that water scarcity, because water scarcity is about availability, is a paramount issue, and we need to constantly expand the team of people that manage water in our systems.
The recent water shortages as well in the country also definitely providing an acute lens on water scarcity, like you mentioned, that's taking place right now.
Absolutely, and it's been very negative for many, many reasons and in many, many spheres. But one of the real positives that come out of events like this is that there's a much higher awareness in the public. There's a much higher willingness to participate in the management of water to ensure our own water security. And what's required and what is being launched next week is exactly this, a set of toolboxes that enables the public, ordinary citizens, to participate very actively in the management of water and contribute to the water security of the country.
Tell us more about this year's theme, Leave No One Behind.
It's closely related to the SDGs, and everyone knows that we've set ourselves an almost impossible target. We are saying that by 2030, every single human being on this planet will have access to safe water and improved sanitation. And we have only 11 years to go to reach that target. And the idea around leaving no one behind is twofold. One is that we must move towards that target very rapidly, use the best science, the best technology that we have available to us, but we must do it in a way that organizes for future solutions, not solutions from the past. Because we have to deal not only with today's solutions, but the things that we put into the system will have to deal with tomorrow's problems as well.
Just on that note, Mr. Naidoo, what are we doing now, or what should we be doing right now, to ensure that in 20 years' time, perhaps, we have improved water security?
Well, you know, there are the fundamentals that we all know. The first is that we have to organize to have very sound infrastructure in place. We need to build the capacity of the managers that manage our water system, and we have to improve the capacity of the public. We have to have very high levels of awareness, and we have to use water very sparingly. But we have to be smarter than that now. You know, we talk a lot about the fourth industrial revolution. Now, one of the things the fourth industrial revolution does is it organizes for us to have access and use the best technologies that are available. It also means that people have access to a lot more information. And the thing that we want to emphasize this week is that the users of water are also managers of water and can provide the information into the system. So the idea around this toolbox that we're talking about is to make every one of us very active members of ensuring our own water security going into the future. So all of the things that we talk about at a distance, that certain people will manage the water for us and we will use the water as users in turn. And we want to turn that paradigm on its head. We also want to say that the water users are not going to be passive anymore. The water users are going to be actively monitoring the resources. They're going to be inputting into the management decisions about the resources. And if they're not satisfied, they're going to call the water managers to book and put them in line. And this is the kind of empowerment that we're talking about with these new tools.
All right, those people who still don't have access to safe water and adequate sanitation, and those who are still out of the system, of course that number is much smaller than it was 20 years ago. Now, you've often said previously that this last mile of the connection is a very expensive one and should be used as an example to revolutionize the entire system. Tell us what you mean by that.
Yes, indeed. You see, the thing that we're not doing, and the lethargy is not only in South Africa but worldwide, is that we're continuing to face the 21st century problems of water using 20th century technology and 19th century operating rules. So, for example, we use about 30% of water in our households to flush waste down a toilet. Clean water, 30% of clean, purified, expensive water is used to flush waste. We need to reorganize that paradigm in a completely different way, where we have a new system that is waterless, that organizes to do this, which already immediately has the water saving. But in addition to that, we have the science and technology available to us nowadays that says that the waste that actually comes down our toilet can be used for all sorts of things, from energy, from lipid removal, from chemicals removal. It's actually a high value resource. So in the way we engage this last mile, the 10% of people who currently don't have access to the water and the 20% that don't have access to new sanitation, if we put these new solutions in place, this in turn should become the norm for all of us to use. So that in a country like South Africa, which is highly water scarce, where we're using 273 liters per person per day for our general water use, we should be able to cut that by half easily and move into a much more comfortable water security paradigm.
Very quickly, Mr. Naidoo, we are running out of time. You've commented quite often on the link between the social protests we see coming up more and more often and water service delivery in the country. Now, there does seem to be a breakdown in communication between water services development planning at municipal level and water users at household level. Can you just speak to us on that very quickly?
Well, yes, indeed. I mean, this is a critical issue. In a domain, and South Africa is a country of huge inequalities, where clearly there's a percentage of the population that has access to all of the resources that they need. In the wake of that, for the folk who don't have it, it's an impossible oppression. The least we need to do is to make sure that everyone has the minimum level of service. We should do it in a way that organizes for those people to be able to not only meet their basic needs, but have enough water available for their economic needs, because we want people to improve their life lot, not just survive. And in the wake of that, until we deal with those issues, the social protests will continue and they will intensify.
Mr. Naidoo, before we leave you, how will members of the public get a hold of the water monitoring or water testing toolkit that you'll be putting out on the 22nd of March?
Well, in three ways. The first way that people will get it is by accessing our website, and that's www.wrc.org.za. The second way we're doing it is that we're also launching a portal this week. And the portal is called Capacity for Catchments, where people can go into that portal, download the tools and actively use them on a daily basis. And the third thing that we're doing is we're launching an app around something called Mini SAS that folk can use from their phones, which allows you to download the data of what's happening around you. But more important than that, it allows you to upload data as you test the environment around you so that you too can contribute to people having a higher level of information to manage their water.
Thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk. That was Mr. Dhesigen Naidoo, the CEO of the Water Research Commission, joining us, of course, from our Pretoria studios this hour.